You said you would continue, even when no one responds. But the moment silence appeared, your pace slowed. And now the absence of feedback is exposing your dependence. This is where discipline is enforced without recognition. The screen stays the same. No reaction. No signal. Your hands hover for a fraction longer than before. That pause is not random. It is negotiation trying to re-enter through silence. The body shifts, slight discomfort in the chest, a tightening across the shoulders. You are not blocked. You are waiting for confirmation that will not come. Nothing is wrong with the path. The structure was already decided. But without response, the mind starts measuring effort against nothing. It looks for return. It searches for proof. This is where most routines break. Not in resistance, but in absence. The action is still there. Unchanged. But now it stands alone, without reward, without acknowledgement, without noise. The hand pulls back slightly, not from fatigue, but from uncertainty. The movement was already decided, yet it hesitates again. The same pattern repeats, small, quiet, almost invisible. You sit there, feeling the weight settle into your arms, a dull heaviness that was not there when the plan was made. Nothing external changed. The absence remains. The mind begins its loop. It doesn't argue loudly. It suggests a slower pace, a shorter effort, a delay that feels harmless. The body follows that suggestion without noticing. The spine softens. The breath loses rhythm. What was supposed to begin immediately now drifts. No one is watching. That fact becomes permission. You adjust your posture, but the adjustment is shallow. The structure that was meant to carry the action is still present, but it is no longer enforced. Without external pressure, the sequence loosens. One missed movement becomes two. The order starts to blur. This is not collapse. It is quiet erosion. The absence of response creates space, and that space fills with hesitation. You check nothing, yet your attention moves as if expecting something to appear. A signal. A reaction. Something to confirm that continuing matters. But nothing comes. The body registers this first. A slight tension in the neck. Fingers slow down. The pace loses sharpness. You are still moving, but the movement is no longer clean. It drags. Inside, the pattern tightens. Continue later. Not a refusal. Just a shift. A small repositioning of effort. The kind that feels reasonable. The kind that has ended sequences before. You know this pattern. It has no edge. No clear break. It dissolves discipline without announcing it. The structure was built to remove this moment. Fixed action. No discussion. But now, without feedback, the structure is tested. Not by difficulty, but by emptiness. And emptiness is where most systems fail. You straighten slightly, but the correction comes late. The timing has already shifted. What should have been immediate is now delayed. The body remembers that delay. It stores it. That is how inconsistency forms, not through failure, but through tolerated pauses. You continue, but the pace is uneven. One action follows another, but the spacing between them grows. The rhythm breaks. You are still inside the routine, but no longer held by it. The absence is still there. Unchanged. It does not react. It does not confirm. It does not care whether you stop or continue. And that is where the pressure sharpens, the uneven rhythm stays. You feel it now with more clarity. Each movement carries a slight drag, like the body is waiting for permission that never arrives. The original timing is gone. What remains is a stretched version of it, slower, less certain. The mind tightens its pattern. It stops suggesting delay and begins justifying it. There is no urgency. The phrase doesn't arrive as language, but the body acts as if it heard it. Your shoulders lower. The tension that once pushed action forward now spreads out, unfocused. You continue, but not cleanly. Each repetition lands slightly off. Not wrong, just weaker. The difference is small, but it compounds. The sequence starts to feel optional, even while you are still inside it. Nothing interrupts you. No message. No sound. No reaction. The silence remains absolute. And that silence begins to shape your behavior. You adjust again. This time more deliberately. The spine straightens, breath tightens, fingers reset their position. For a moment, the structure returns. The movement sharpens. One clean repetition. Then another. But the absence is still there. Without external confirmation, the effort begins to feel unmeasured. The body senses this and reduces output. Not consciously. It simply stops pushing at full precision. The edge softens again. This is where the pattern becomes visible. You are not stopping. You are reducing. The sequence continues, but it no longer demands full presence. The body starts conserving. Small gaps appear between actions. Micro pauses. Barely noticeable, but consistent. This is how erosion stabilizes. The mind returns, quieter now. This is enough. It doesn't try to stop you. It lowers the standard. And the body accepts it. The movements become lighter, less committed. The structure is still there, but it is no longer enforced with pressure. You notice it. The difference between what was intended and what is happening. It is not large. That is why it survives. The absence has not changed. It still offers nothing. No correction. No reinforcement. And without that, the system begins to test its own limits. You continue again, but now you are aware of the drift. Each action carries a question underneath it. Not spoken, but felt. Does this need to be exact? The body answers by reducing precision. That answer repeats. The sequence stretches further. The rhythm becomes inconsistent. The original pattern is still visible, but only faintly. It no longer controls the movement. It follows it. This is the shift. The structure is no longer leading. It is being negotiated. And that negotiation grows stronger with every silent second that passes. The negotiation does not stop. It refines itself. Now it no longer suggests slowing down. It begins to reshape the action while it is happening. Your hands continue, but the pressure behind them weakens. The grip loosens slightly. The timing stretches again, just enough to feel easier, not enough to trigger resistance. This is where the internal pattern tightens its control. You feel it in the chest first. A shallow breath, slightly off rhythm. The body is still moving, but it is no longer aligned with the original command. It is adapting to comfort while pretending to maintain structure. The sequence continues, but the sequence is no longer exact. That difference matters. You try to correct it again. The spine straightens. The breath pulls deeper. For a brief moment, the action sharpens. The movement regains its edge. But the absence still sits there, unchanged, offering nothing in return. And the body notices. Without feedback, effort begins to feel excessive. The system starts to question its own intensity. Not through words, but through reduction. The next repetition lands softer. The one after it carries less force. The pattern repeats. The internal conflict no longer appears as delay. It appears as adjustment. Small, controlled, reasonable changes that slowly detach the action from its original standard. You remain inside the routine, but you are no longer executing it fully. This is how discipline breaks without stopping. Your shoulders begin to settle again. The tension that once held posture firm spreads outward, diffused. The body is still upright, but the rigidity is gone. The precision is fading. You notice it again. The gap between what was defined and what is being done. But now the gap feels acceptable. That is the shift. The mind has stopped trying to interrupt. It has started to lower the requirement. It allows continuation, but only at a reduced level. And the body follows without resistance. You continue. Movement after movement. But each one carries less intent. The absence has done its work. Not by blocking action, but by removing pressure. Without pressure, the system weakens. The sequence stretches further. Timing drifts. The rhythm dissolves into loose repetition. What was once a fixed pattern is now flexible, adjustable, negotiable. And that flexibility is the entry point. You feel the weight in your arms again, but now it is different. It is not resistance. It is lack of engagement. The body is conserving energy because it is no longer being forced to meet a standard. This is not fatigue. It is permission. Permission to do less while still appearing to continue. The internal pattern stabilizes around this. No longer pushing you to stop. Only guiding you to reduce, to soften, to drift just enough to stay comfortable. And the silence continues to allow it. No correction. No interruption. No signal to tighten the sequence again. So the body adapts to that silence. It learns that nothing happens when the standard drops. And once that is learned, the drop repeats. The routine is still there. But it is no longer in control. The drop repeats because nothing interrupts it. Now the body begins earlier. Before each movement, there is a slight delay. Not visible unless you look for it. A fraction of stillness before action. The original command was immediate. Now there is space. That space becomes the new pattern. You feel it in the hands. They no longer move on contact. They wait, just slightly. The delay is small, but it carries weight. It signals that execution is no longer automatic. It is being filtered. The mind does not argue anymore. It has shifted role. It observes, then adjusts. It allows action, but only within a softened boundary. You continue, but every repetition now passes through that boundary. The body learns this quickly. The shoulders no longer lock into position. They settle into something easier to maintain. The breath shortens again. Not strained, just reduced. Enough to support movement, not enough to drive it. You are still inside the routine. But the routine is no longer leading the body. The absence remains constant. No signal. No reaction. No pressure added. And without added pressure, the internal standard continues to fall. You try to tighten it again. A sharper movement. A firmer posture. A deeper breath. The sequence aligns for a moment. The timing snaps back. One clean repetition. Then the delay returns. Because nothing holds it in place. The system was built to operate without feedback, but it was not enforced that way. It relied on something external to confirm that it was working. Now that confirmation is gone. So the body redefines what working means. You feel the shift settle deeper. The movements become smoother, but less exact. The effort becomes lighter, but less committed. The structure fades into a loose guideline instead of a fixed command. This is where the internal pattern locks in. No longer asking if you should continue. Only deciding how little is required to maintain the appearance of continuation. You keep going. The sequence flows, but it no longer cuts clean. It drifts. The edges are gone. And the silence continues to permit it. No consequence appears. No correction follows. The lowered standard produces no immediate result. So the body accepts it as valid. That acceptance repeats. The delay before action grows slightly longer. The force behind each movement drops another degree. The posture loosens again. Each change is small. Each one feels acceptable. Together, they redefine the routine. Now you are not executing the original sequence. You are performing a version of it that has adapted to the absence. And that version requires less. The internal pattern stabilizes here. No tension pushing back. No structure forcing correction. Just a quiet agreement between mind and body to continue at a reduced level. The routine survives. But the standard is gone. The lowered standard does not stay contained. It begins to show. Not in what you say, but in how you move when others are near. The same delay appears. Subtle, but visible to anyone paying attention. A slight hesitation before action. A softer execution where there used to be precision. No one names it directly. But the difference is felt. Someone watches you continue, but without sharpness. The movements are there, but they do not carry weight. They look complete, but they are not exact. That gap creates discomfort, not loud, but present. You feel it in the room. The absence that once felt private is now exposed through behavior. You are still following the routine, but the reduced standard travels with you. It appears in how you respond, how you move, how you hold posture under observation. And others notice the shift, even if they don't speak it. A glance that lingers. A pause before they turn away. Not judgment. Not approval. Just recognition that something is off. That is the friction. You continue anyway. The same reduced rhythm, the same softened movements. But now the environment is no longer neutral. It reflects the drop back to you. The body reacts. A slight tightening in the jaw. Shoulders pull back, but not fully. The correction starts, then stops halfway. The same pattern. You try to ignore it. Continue as before. But the presence of others amplifies the difference between what was defined and what is now being done. The internal pattern feels pressure again, but it does not correct. It resists correction. It holds the reduced version in place because it is easier to maintain. So the body stays there. Between standards. Not fully collapsed, not fully aligned. That state becomes visible. Someone speaks nearby, not to you, but within range. Their pace is sharp. Their movement is clean. There is no delay before they act. No visible negotiation. The contrast sharpens the friction. You feel it immediately. A tightening across the chest. Breath shortens. The body recognizes the difference between clean execution and what you are doing now. But recognition does not fix it. Because the structure is still not enforced. Without enforcement, awareness becomes noise. You continue, but now the reduced standard feels heavier. Not physically, but in contrast. Each movement carries the awareness that it could be sharper, but isn't. That gap grows louder in the presence of others. And still, nothing forces correction. No one steps in. No one interrupts. No one demands more. The environment reflects, but it does not enforce. So the pattern holds. You keep moving within it, even as the discomfort increases. Even as the difference becomes clearer. Even as the friction builds. Because without structure, pressure alone does not restore precision. It only exposes its absence. The discomfort stays, but it stops pushing you forward. Instead, it settles into the background. A constant signal that something is off, but not strong enough to force correction. The body adapts to that signal the same way it adapted to the silence, by lowering sensitivity. You feel it in the breath first. It shortens again, but now it stabilizes there. Not sharp, not deep. Just enough to continue. The chest no longer tightens in response to the friction. It absorbs it. That is the shift. The external contrast remains, others moving with precision, acting without delay, but your body stops reacting to it. The comparison is still visible, but it no longer triggers adjustment. Because nothing has been locked in place. You continue with the reduced pattern, even under observation. The movements are consistent now, not with the original standard, but with the lowered one. The delay before action becomes predictable. The softened execution becomes repeatable. The body has accepted this as the new baseline. And once a baseline stabilizes, it defends itself. You attempt to sharpen again. A deliberate correction. The shoulders pull back, posture tightens, the next movement lands with force. For a moment, the original sequence reappears. Then the body rejects it. Not through resistance, but through fatigue. The sharper version requires more energy, more control, more presence. Without reinforcement, it feels excessive. So the body returns to what is easier to maintain. The lowered standard. This is where the pattern becomes fixed. No longer drifting. No longer adjusting. It settles into a stable form that requires minimal effort and survives without feedback. It is not clean, but it is consistent. And consistency, even at a low level, starts to feel acceptable. That is the trap. You continue again, repetition after repetition, each one matching the reduced version. The timing is even now, but slower. The force is steady, but weaker. The posture holds, but without tension. Everything is aligned, just at the wrong level. The absence is no longer a factor. It has already done its work. The system adapted to it and built a new pattern around it. Now that pattern runs on its own. The presence of others no longer sharpens you. Their precision becomes background noise. The friction fades because it is no longer resisted. It is absorbed into the new baseline. And without resistance, there is no correction. You move through the routine with stability. No hesitation. No visible negotiation. But also no edge. The sequence survives. But the standard has been replaced. And now the body protects that replacement, because it has learned it can continue without cost. The new baseline holds because nothing challenges it. Now the body moves without hesitation, but also without demand. The delay is gone, replaced by a consistent, lowered rhythm. Each action follows the last with smooth timing, but the force behind it never rises. It stays contained, controlled, reduced. You no longer notice the difference immediately. That is the danger. The earlier friction, the awareness, the contrast, all of it fades into the background. The body is no longer comparing. It is executing what it has accepted as normal. This is where the shift completes. You move through the routine with stability. No pauses. No visible negotiation. The pattern is clean, but it is not exact. It is precise only within the limits you have lowered. And those limits are now fixed. Someone passes behind you again. Their movement cuts sharp, direct, immediate. No adjustment, no reduction. The contrast exists, but it no longer disrupts you. Your body does not react. Because it has stopped measuring itself against anything higher. That comparison has been removed. The breath stays steady. The shoulders hold a neutral position. The hands move at the same pace, repetition after repetition, without deviation. It looks consistent. But consistency at the wrong level becomes identity. You continue, and the pattern reinforces itself. Each repetition confirms the baseline. Each action tells the body that this is acceptable. That nothing more is required. And over time, that acceptance hardens. Now, when you try to push beyond it, the resistance is immediate. Not hesitation, rejection. The body resists returning to the original standard because it no longer recognizes it as necessary. The lowered version has replaced it. You feel it when you attempt to sharpen again. The movement feels excessive. The tension feels unnecessary. The precision feels forced. So the body returns to what it knows. The reduced pattern. And that return becomes automatic. No thought, no decision. Just execution within the limits that have been accepted through repetition. This is where continuation without feedback defines you. Not through stopping, but through what you allow to become normal while no one is watching. Nothing interrupts it now. You begin without delay. You continue without pause. The sequence holds from start to end. No hesitation. No visible break. It looks complete. But what you execute is exactly what you allowed. The absence did not stop you. It reshaped you. No feedback came. No correction arrived. No signal forced you back to the original standard. And in that space, you chose what was acceptable, through repetition, not decision. That choice is now embedded in movement. The body no longer asks. It no longer compares. It no longer tests the edge. It repeats what has been reinforced. This is where continuation reveals truth. Not whether you act, but how you act when nothing responds. The sequence you follow in silence becomes the one you carry everywhere else. It appears in how you stand, how you move, how you execute under pressure, even when others are present. Because the body does not separate conditions. It only repeats what has been stabilized. If the standard drops in silence, it remains lowered in noise. If the edge softens without consequence, it stays soft when observed. Nothing external restores it. Only enforcement does. And enforcement is not a feeling. It is not triggered by recognition. It does not depend on response. It is applied, or it is not. The absence exposed that. Now there is no ambiguity left. You either hold the exact standard without feedback, or you train the body to accept less. And what you repeat becomes what you are. This is not adjusted later. It is already set.